We're now ready to look at the improvements in 3D sketching or 3D drawing. Now, before we get started, I want to change the visualization so you can more clearly see what we're working with. We're going to go to the View tab, and from the Visual Styles dropdown in the Appearance panel, select Shaded with Hidden Edges. Then we're going to select the 3D Model tab again. On the screen, you can see that the graphics have been updated so that you can clearly see we're working with a hollow box that has an opening on one side and an opening on the other. And we're going to use this to test the new 3D sketch tools. To start, we need to begin a 3D sketch, and that can be done from the 3D Model tab under the Sketch panel by clicking the Start 2D Sketch dropdown and starting a 3D sketch. You'll now see that the environment has been updated to the 3D sketch environment, and down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a series of buttons that have been enabled. You have Ortho Mode, you have Dynamic Dimension, you have Snap Object, and you have Infer Constraints. These are the new options that are available. Let's make sure we uncheck all of these. You'll probably have them all enabled by default, which is fine. But for this demonstration, I want to start with none of them selected so that you can see what each does as we enable them. We're going to start by right-clicking and selecting 3D Line, and you'll see a new UCS is presented. As we move the cursor around, you will notice that we can align to each of the axes. But in general, at this point, with none of those options enabled, we're really just clicking around in 3D space. You'll notice that if I hover over the model itself, nothing highlights, only the axes highlight. Let's start by right-clicking and selecting Snap Object, which is also Control-Shift-P on your keyboard, or you can enable it by clicking the magnet or this icon down at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to use the right-click menu for the remaining portion of this demonstration because it's just a little bit easier and it's closer to where my mouse is already going to be. Once you've enabled Snap, you have the ability to snap to endpoints, midpoints, and center points of objects on the model. We're going to start by left-clicking on the center point of this circle, and you'll notice the UCS is aligned to that location. Now we are able to continue our 3D line, but right now we're just clicking in 3D space. To fix that, I'm going to right-click and I'm going to select Ortho Mode, or Control-R on your keyboard. What this does is allows the line to lock to the axes specifically so that you know that you're drawing perfectly straight lines in a specific direction. Now, I could just start clicking, but then my lines are going to be of random length and really won't have any dimension to them. I can always go back and add dimensions, but we're going to look at one of the other options, and that is the ability to see dynamic dimensions while you're sketching. You'll notice by enabling that, you get the heads-up display that you would typically see in the 2D sketch environment, and you can either use this as a reference for just drawing lines that are roughly the length that you need, or you can type an exact value, just like you could in a sketch environment. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet because I do want to enable the last feature before we continue, and that's a right-click and selecting Infer Constraints, or Control-I on your keyboard. What this does is not only enables the heads-up display, but if I were to enter 3 here, rather than just getting a line that is exactly 3 inches, I'm going to get a line that's exactly 3 inches long and has a dimension on it. Now I can continue with all those options enabled to route my path up and over this box into the other side. I'm going to click on the right side view so that we can rotate and get a more clear view of where we're drawing. And I'm going to draw a line, but instead of using Ortho Mode, I'm going to right click, I'm going to turn Ortho Mode off, and I'm going to select a point near the middle top above this box. Then I'm going to rotate to the front side. I'm going to turn Ortho back on by right-clicking and selecting Ortho Mode. And now I can align to the x-axis here so I can draw straight across the top of the box to the opposite side. I'm going to left-click to place that point. I'm going to rotate one more time so we're looking at the left view. And again, I'm going to right-click, turn off Ortho Mode, or use Control-R on my keyboard. And now I have the ability to create a line that's on an angle down towards this point where we want to finish. Now, because I have Snap on, you'll notice that I'm snapping to the circle or the center point of that circle. And if we rotate just a little bit, you'll see that what's happening is it's creating a 3D line from the end where we finished the line to the center point. I'm going to go ahead and click on the left view so that we can see it again in an orthographic view. But rather than snapping to the center, I'm going to go ahead and continue just a little bit past that, left click, and then I'm going to use the center point to snap there. When finished, I'm going to right click and select OK, and we can use Shift and the middle mouse button to rotate and kind of look at what we've created. Now you'll notice, because we had the snap on, I did have to create this point a little bit further than I wanted to, but with the new constraint capabilities that we have available in 3D Sketch, we can fix this quite easily, and we'll look at that in the next movie.